Hi everyone, so this is part 2 in this series, how to dimension. We're in Solidworks 2017. I've created 3 products, if you will. So we've got this basic block, we've got this object which we're going to model, and we've got this handle which we've already modeled. So they each present some difficulties in dimensioning, and I want to run through them so that you understand how dimensioning would be applied in 3 different cases. So this is very elementary. It is simply a block with some cutouts and some holes which are in a series. The easiest way to get a drawing out of this is just go up to the File command and say make drawing from part. Then you'll be given a set of choices. Right, so none of these are all my own personal ones. I don't think I've shown you that you can swap between the different templates depending on which file location you've put. So I'm going to go across to my template settings and I'm going to select A1. It's too big, but I'm doing that deliberately just to show you what happens. All right, and also I'm going to select a front view as my starting point, but it says front view, but it's not ideally the front view, and I'm going to show you how we can change that as well. So there's my front view, and it should now give you the option of just dragging out a left view and a top view. So those are the 3 views indicated by this symbol at the bottom, which is first angle. Right, so both first and third angle start with a front view. In third angle, you would get a bottom view at the bottom and a right view on the right hand side. We're using first angle, so we should get a top view at the bottom and a left view on the right hand side. This is just personal preference. I want you to stick to it just so that we're all on the same page. I'm going to make my view origin disappear, and from here, first of all, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this is way too big. These are 1-to-1, it's fine. So what I can do is, if I go to the feature manager on the left hand side, if you right click on the sheet and you go down to properties, you'll get this dialog box, and here you can change what sheet size and what sheet format you want. So here are my personal ones. If I were to open them, you'd see my personal logo in there. Just go to A3, you can kind of see the logo there. These are the UJ ones. I'm going to select A2 and then I can say apply changes. But before I do that, just see at the top here, you can select the type of projection. So I'm going to say that's what I want, and you can see it's giving me a much smaller sheet, and I can now just pull these views because they're all linked. I can just pull them in to where I want them to be. Okay, something like this. Right, and I'm going to pull in one more view. So I can click on the main view and I can add a view. Wait, I don't have to do it that way. Just click on the view and then right click and go to projected view. And here you can pull out more views. So you can give a right hand view, a bottom view, or if you drag diagonally, you'll get an isometric view. So this isometric view at the moment doesn't really reflect what I want. So what I can do is, if I click inside this, I can go to the top here and I can use one of these 2 buttons. So I can rotate the view, which will allow me to just rotate something like that and say apply and close. Okay, so that's fine. That's one way of doing it. The other way I could try and do is to use this rotate the whole drawing view. Now in this case it's not going to work, but I'm going to show you can kind of rotate it, but you'll see in the dialog box there's no option to say OK. So whatever I do, I have to cancel it. The reason for that is because this view is linked to that view. So I can right click on this and I should be able to break alignment, although I'm not sure if that is possible. And if I can't find how to do that, I'm simply going to delete it. And then I'm going to copy this one. So I'm going to say Control C, Control V. And I have kind of an independent view here, and I can just change that to isometric. Right, say yes. And now I can go to this rotate view. And you see now if I rotate it, I have the option to change that button. So you can change the view within your drawing, within your sheet view environment to suit whatever it is you want. So there we go. There it is. And this is completely independent of what happens there. The other thing I can do with this, don't do it too much, but I can actually change the display so that I get a color view. What's going to happen is when you print this, that won't come through as a vector drawing, whereas these will if you've got your settings correct. All right, so to begin this, I don't like this view. This is the top view, and that's some other view. Like, I don't know, this doesn't tell me anything. It just tells me that gives me a certain height. So if I go to one of these other views, like hidden lines visible, I can see that all of those features that are viewed here are facing downwards. So I should really change this view to be something else. So if I click on the actual view and I click on top, you'll see that that's not quite what I want either. Let's just try that one. There we go. So that's kind of a front view. If I think of that face that I can see there as being this face here, and I think of this face with the holes in it being the top face, and I think of this right view being, sorry, it's the left view, it's on the right hand side, being that face on the far side that you can't see. That's what I want. So this is the front, that's the top, and that's the left side. All right. So far so good. Now we need to figure out where we're going to start from. And in dimensioning, the starting point is called the datum. So a datum just means starting point. That's what it means. So we say a datum feature. And now I need to decide where do I want to start dimensioning from. So I'm going to pick the left-hand side, the bottom side on the top view, and then the very bottom of this is my 3 datums. So if I go to datum feature, you will see this little thing. I don't know if it gets larger. Yes, it does. This little arrow pops out. You can select a face pretty much and then drag this out. I would drag it fairly far out like this so that your dimensions can fit inside there. That's datum A. This will be datum B. Let's move this down here. And then that'll be datum C. So if it doesn't select correctly, you can just delete it. Go back to datum feature. You'll see that as you go along in the feature manager, you'll get the letters will change. So if I want to keep that as C, I just type in C. Control C, sorry, Shift C to make it a capital. And there we go. I've selected C. Right, so I've got my three datums. That means that whatever positions I'm going to create for this must start from the datums. So I'm going to begin with the front view, and I want to dimension the positions of these 3 cutouts, these 3 blocks, which you can see in the top view as well. And then I'm going to also give you the positions and the sizes of the depth of these cutouts. So just use my gesture. All right, so I'm going to go from that line and I'm going to click onto this line here. So I have 1 position. All right, I'm going to do the same again from there. And I'm not going to dimension to that place because, in fact, that's a size dimension, not a position dimension. I'm going to go like this. And we're going to do the same again. Right, and you see I've gone from smallest to largest. That's the way I want it. And we're going to do the same here for for the height. Now I could, if I could have actually chosen that as my datum, the top one, but I've already chosen the bottom line as my datum. So if I had chosen the bottom one, I'd go from the top one, I'd go from top down, and I'd keep going from top down like this. But it's not what I've got as my datum, and there'll be good reasons why you choose your datum. This will come with experience, but right now I've chosen that one, so I'm going to follow my own rules. And here I'm going to pull this one fairly far out because it's actually the largest dimension, and I'm going to do the same again. Right, so I've got a starting point for each of these blocks. I've got like 28 up from datum A, and I've got 29.7 to the right of datum B. And then I've got 55.5 to the right of datum B, which is this line here. And I have a 26 from the position, the start of the datum A. So you can see how that works. Now, I'm going to move this one out the way. I can't remember where I put that one in, but it's fine. Notice how I've arranged this in such a way that the position dimensions are all in one place. So all the positions, the vertical position dimensions are on the left-hand side, horizontal are at the bottom, and then I've given the overall size on the right-hand side. So if you start doing things like this, you'll be pleased with your drawings, and I will certainly be pleased with your drawings. So I'm going to put size dimensions now, because if I think about this 28, it means that I can start. Let's go to the bottom one. I can measure from that point, and I can say, okay, we're gonna cut at the point of 29.7, and we're gonna cut down to where it is 26 or right. So this is actually where my datum should be, at the top, not at the bottom, because I actually want to cut down, not up. But I'm going to leave it as it is just to shorten the video. We'll deal with these sorts of things later. And then the actual size would be this width, 14. Okay. And then it would be a certain depth like that. Right. So put that on the left-hand side to be consistent. And in fact, your dimension line should not cross over lines if you can avoid it. So I'm going to just move that one to this closest one, and these three are in line. So I've got the size there, that's 14, and then I've got the depth, which is 22, which is also a position dimension. So I'm going to put two more size dimensions in. One, actually I don't need this last one, because whatever that position is, it just carries on to the end. Right. So if I want to quickly arrange these dimensions so that they're all kind of evenly spaced, I can just drag select. You'll see only the dimensions are chosen, and then I can right click and go down to align, and you can say auto arrange, and whatever I've set in my settings, which you will have already, it'll arrange these dimensions according to those auto arrange things. So you'll see it's lined up these two size dimensions. It's placed the overall size 6 or 8 millimeters away from these. These are evenly spaced. These two are the only two that are not quite as spaced as I would want them to be. So that's because of a setting. So everything's neatly spaced, close together, not too far apart, etc. So I've got now both the position and the size dimensions. The way this works in real life would be somewhat more complicated than that, in that you might decide that that's also a size dimension, a position dimension. So we wouldn't have 14, we'd have something that goes like this. We go from there to there, and we go from there to, that's done the wrong thing. Let's try that again. From there to this edge, down, All right, that's all we need, and then we can just arrange these. So auto arrange or space evenly. I could have done. Did it nicely there. So that might be what you also have to have, but I'm going to simplify this for us. All I want is that every feature that you have, and you're going to have to identify what are features or not, which are not. But then it's not that difficult. Every feature just has to have at least 2 position dimensions, and sometimes it's inferred. So the position dimension won't always be an actual dimension. It'll be something you infer, which we'll get to. And then it has to have at least 2 size dimensions. And in this case, these all have 2 size dimensions, or they have 3 in fact. No, they don't. They have 2. So that one has 14, and it has 22, and that one has 23.5, and it has 22, and so forth. So that one there doesn't need a size dimension because it's inferred from the position 95 and the position 22. Right, so let me just get rid of these because these would not appear. And by the way, please, we're going to deal with it later, but as few dimensions as you need to describe what you need, but as many dimensions as you need to complete what the description. So just the right amount of dimensions. This is very much a 3 bears situation. You've got to find just the right number of dimensions and put them in. Have no more and no less. So that would cover those 3 there. I don't need to do anything on this view because another principle is that wherever you start dimensioning, you should continue dimensioning in that view so that everything pertinent to that view is evident. So I can do nothing about these circles in this view. So if I see any of you doing something like this, finding the middle of this circle, which is not going to happen, that would be incorrect and you'd be marked down. So I want you to choose the view that shows the feature and dimension in that feature. I've deliberately at this point not shown you how to put any center lines in. That's just because I want to simplify the basic procedure, but you would actually put a center line in. So let's show you a little bit of that first. This could have a center line between these two outer lines, but in this case it's not going to help us at all, so it's not necessary. But if I go to annotation and I select, you'll see on the, where is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere around here. You'll see that there are 3 kinds of annotations that you can add: a center mark, a center line. Actually, this one's not relevant to that, but so the center mark is just, you would apply it to whatever it is that needs a center. So you can see in the feature tree, you can have linear center marks, circular center marks, and then just a single center mark. For our case, and then you can also do for slots, but for our case now, you're just going to choose the single center mark. So I select like that. Right. In this case, in fact, I'm going to backtrack a bit. In this case, just delete these. Say no. Right, I'm not sure why it won't. Oh, okay, I think once you've actually got the center line in there, you should be able to delete it. All right, never mind. So in this case, what I should have done is actually put in a center line, if it'll allow me to do it. No, it won't. All right, so apologies for that. Let's go back to center marks and just mark these like this. Okay, why do I need the center marks? Because they are the position markers of circular features. For anything which is circular or non-linear, you need some way of positioning the feature, and you can't position it using the actual circle. Although you can, I've shown you this trick already where you hold the shift button down, so you can actually mark from there to there like that. And there I've got a position of the edge of the circle. But in real life, you can't use that edge. You still have to drill these holes, so you have to know where to start as far as the center goes, not the edge. So what I need now is, because I've got my C datum here, I've got to then dimension from, remember, it's always position and it's always size. So always start from the position. There we go. All right, that's giving me, it's giving me an angle, because what I chose there is I chose the horizontal part of this center. If I do that again and I go like this, and now I make sure to select the, sorry, I chose the vertical. If I chose the horizontal part, I will get a dimension. So let's do that again. So from that line, if I choose the vertical, I'll get an angle. Whereas if I choose the horizontal, that's that bit there, I'll get a dimension. So it's 43. And then I need another position dimension from the left-hand side, and this time select the vertical. So I've got the positions, and I've got the positions, in fact, of all of these. See, that one has, when I deleted it, it in fact did delete it. Put it back in. All right, so a center line would have been more useful because it would just link all of these up, but I can see that they actually do link up. Now what do I do when I've got a whole range of these? Well, before I explain that, let's just put in a size dimension, which is that one there, and drag it out, drag it away from the actual drawing so that it's outside of the boundaries of the drawing, and then it's in a place that's easy to see with as few lines crossing as possible. I've got now a series of these, and they're all exactly the same. What I can do is I can go to, am I going to find this? Oh, sorry, I don't need to go anywhere. I just need to dimension one of these, one set of center points, right, 15. And now you will see that if you keep your cursor held over the dimension, you'll see this little block appear, which if you just mouse over, it'll expand. And inside here, you can add above and to the left and to the right and below any text and any symbols you want. You can do other things with this. You can add precision, you can add tolerances, which we'll get into later. But for now, I just want to indicate that all of these have an equal dimension, which is called the pitch. So P-I-T-C-H, and it should be in capital. So let's just put the cap lock on, P-I-T-C-H. And, okay, it disappeared there. So if it disappears, just click on it again. And I want to indicate how many of them are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to say times 6. And that's all you need. All right? So I don't need to dimension the position of each one of these. This word pitch, giving the pitch and how many there are, covers it all. So that's what you want to do anytime there's a pitch. So I do hope you are beginning to see a pattern here, that everything that you dimension must have a position and a size. If you can just go back over whatever you've dimensioned and ask yourself the question, does it have a position? If it doesn't, it's not complete. Does it have a size? So for instance, let's have a look at this little block here. I've got no dimensions directly attached to it, but that number 22 is obviously a continuation of that line. So it definitely has a position, which is also a size of 22. And I have the size here at 23.5, already indicating what the opening is. I also have this dimension here, 26, indicating how deep it is. So that feature is fully dimensioned, and you only dimension it once. You don't want to have what are called redundant dimensions. So redundancy is a feature which you will hear about in airplane crash videos, where they talk about redundant systems. It means additional systems which if one fails, another one takes over. In engineering drawing and in dimensioning, redundancy is bad. It's not good. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.